Hey guys, today we're going to be finishing up that last page of chapter 3 and starting a new page, or a new chapter, which is called the Cygnets. Cygnets are, if you don't know already, baby swans, so you can guess already what this chapter is going to be about. For chapter 4, I really want you to focus on some character analysis, specifically describing the cob, which is the dad swan, right? I want you to focus on his actions, his dialogue, just his overall personality and what his character is like, because that's going to help you out for your video response question. All right, let's jump right into it. Page 23. So that night before Sam crawled into his bunk at camp, he got out his notebook and found a pencil. This is what he wrote. I don't know of anything in the entire world more wonderful to look at than a nest with eggs in it. An egg because it contains life. It is the most perfect thing there is. It is beautiful and mysterious. An egg is a far finer thing than a tennis ball or a cake of soap. A tennis ball will always be just a tennis ball. A cake of soap will always be just a cake of soap until it gets so small nobody wants it and then they throw it away. But an egg will someday be a living creature. A swan's egg will open and out will come a little swan. A nest is almost as wonderful and mysterious as an egg. How does a bird know how to make a nest? Nobody ever taught her. How does a bird know how to build a nest? Sam closed his notebook, said goodnight to his father, blew out his lamp, and climbed into his bunk. He lay there wondering how a bird knows how to build a nest. Pretty soon his eyes closed, and he was asleep. Alrighty, starting chapter 4, the Cygnets. During the night, the swan thought she heard a piping sound from the eggs, and in the hour just before dawn, she was sure she felt a slight movement under her breast, and though a tiny body were wiggling there. Perhaps the eggs at last were hatching. Eggs, of course, can't wiggle, so the swan decided she must have something under her that wasn't an egg. She sat perfectly still, listening and waiting. The cob floated nearby, keeping watch. A little swan enclosed in an egg has a hard time getting out. It never would get out if nature had not provided it with two important things: a powerful neck muscle and a small dagger tooth on the tip of its bill. This tooth is sharp, and the baby swan uses it to pick a hole in the tough shell of the egg. Once the hole is made, the rest is easy. The cygnet can breathe now. It just keeps wiggling until it wiggles free. The cob was expecting to become a father any minute now. The idea of fatherhood made him feel poetical and proud. He began to talk to his wife. I don't know if you've noticed this yet, guys, but the way the dad swan talks, it's very fancy and almost kind of show-offy. He likes to be poetic. It's just part of his personality, and you're going to see a lot of that once I continue to read. Here I glide, swan-like, he said, while earth is bathed in wonder and beauty. Now slowly the light of day comes into our sky. A mist hangs low over the pond. The mist rises slowly like steam from a kettle, while I glide, swan-like, while eggs hatch, while young swans come into existence. I glide and glide. The light strengthens. The air becomes warmer. Gradually the mist disappears. I glide, swan-like. Birds sing their early song. Frogs that have croaked in the night stop croaking and are silent. Still I glide, ceaselessly like a swan. Of course you glide like a swan, said his wife. How else could you glide? You couldn't glide like a moose, could you? Well, no, that is quite true. Thank you, my dear, for correcting me. The cob felt taken aback by his mate's common-sense remark. He enjoyed speaking in fancy phrases and graceful language, and he liked to think of himself as gliding swan-like. He decided he'd better do more gliding and less talking. All morning long the swan heard the piping of the shells, and every once in a while she felt something wriggle beneath her in her nest. It was an odd sensation. The eggs had been quiet for so many days, 35 days in all, and now at last were stirring with life. She knew that the proper thing to do was to sit still. Late in the afternoon, the swan was rewarded for her patience. She gazed down, and there, pushing her feathers aside, came a tiny head, the first baby. The first cygnet, it was soft and downy. Unlike its parents, it was gray. Its feet and legs were the color of mustard. Its eyes were bright. On unsteady legs, it pushed its way until it stood beside its mother, looking around at the world it was seeing for the first time. Its mother spoke softly to it, and it was glad to hear her voice. It was glad to breathe the air after being cooped up for so long inside an egg. The cob, who had been waiting intently all day, saw the little head appear. His heart leaped with joy. "A cygnet!" he cried. "A cygnet at last! I am a father, and with all pleasant duties and awesome responsibilities of fatherhood. Oh, blessed little son of mine! How good it is to see your face peering through the protecting feathers of your mother's breast, under her fair skies, with the pond so quiet and peaceful in the long light of afternoon." "What makes you think it's a son?" inquired his wife. "For all you know, it's a daughter." "Anyway, it's a cygnet and it's alive and healthy. I can feel others under me too. Perhaps we'll get a good hatch. We may even get all 5. We'll know by tomorrow." "I have every confidence that we will," said the cob. The next morning, very early, Sam Beaver crawled out of his bunk while his father was still asleep. Sam dressed and lit a fire in the stove. He fried a few strips of bacon, toasted 2 slices of bread, poured a glass of milk, and sat down and ate breakfast. And when he was through, he found a pencil and paper and wrote a note. "I have gone for a walk. We'll be back for lunch." Sam left the note where his father could find it. Then he took his field glasses and his compass, fastened his hunting knife into his belt, and set out through the woods and over the swamp to the pond where the swans lived. He approached the pond cautiously, his field glasses slung over his shoulder. It was still only a little after 7 o'clock. The sun was pale, the air was chill. The morning smelled delicious. When he reached the log, Sam sat down and adjusted his glasses. Seen through the glasses, the nesting swan appeared to be only a few feet away. He was sitting very close, not moving. The cob was nearby. Both birds were listening and waiting. Both birds saw Sam, but they didn't mind his being there. In fact, they rather liked it. They were surprised at his glasses, though. "The boy seems to have very big eyes today," whispered the cob. "His eyes are enormous." "I think those big eyes are actually a pair of field glasses," replied the swan. "I'm not sure, but I think that when a person looks through field glasses, everything appears closer and bigger." "Will the boy's glasses make me appear even larger than I am?" asked the cob hopefully. "I think so," said the swan. "Oh, well, I like that," said the cob. "I like that very much. Perhaps the boy's glasses will make me appear not only larger than I am, but even more graceful than I am. Do you think so?" It's possible," said the wife, "but it's not likely. You'd better not get too graceful. It might get to your head. You're quite a vain bird." "All swans are vain," said the cob. "It is right for swans to feel proud, graceful. That's what swans are for." Sam could not make out what the swans were saying. He merely knew they were having a conversation, and just hearing them talk stirred his blood. It satisfied him to be keeping company with these 2 great birds in the wilderness. He was perfectly happy. In mid-morning, when the sun had gained the sky, Sam lifted his glasses again and focused them on a nest. At last he saw what he had come to see. A tiny head thrusting through the mother's feathers, the head of a baby trumpeter. The youngster scrambled up onto the edge of the nest. Sam could see its gray head and neck, its body covered with soft down, its yellow legs and feet with their webs for swimming. Soon another cygnet appeared, then another. Then the first one worked his way down into his mother's feathers again for warmth. Then one tried to climb up his mother's back, but her feathers were slippery, and he slid off and settled himself neatly by her side. The swan just sat and sat, enjoying her babies, watching them gain the use of their legs. An hour went by. One of the cygnets, more daring than the others, left the nest and teetered around on the shore of the little island. When this happened, the mother swan stood up. She decided the time had come to lead her children into the water. "Come on," she said, "and stay together. Note carefully what I do, then you do the same. Swimming is easy." 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Sam counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 cygnets, just as sure as I'm alive. The cob, as he saw his children approach the water, felt that he should act like a father. He began making a speech. "Welcome to the pond and the swamp, adjacent," he said. "Welcome to the world that contains this lonely pond, this splendid marsh, unspoiled and wild. Welcome to sunlight and shadow, wind and weather. Welcome to water. The water is a swan's particular element, as you will soon discover. Swimming is no problem for a swan. Welcome to danger, which you must guard against. The vile fox with his stealthy tread, the sharp teeth, the offensive otter who swims up under you and tries to grab you by the leg, the stinking skunk who hunts by night and blends with the shadows, the coyote who hunts and howls and is bigger than a fox. Beware of lead pellets that lie in the bottom of all ponds, left there by guns and hunters. Don't eat them, they'll poison you. Be vigilant, be strong, be brave, be graceful, and always follow me. I will go first, then you will come along in a single file, and your devoted mother will bring you up by the rear, and to the water quietly and confidently." The mother swan, glad the speech was over, stepped into the water and called her little ones. The cygnets gazed for a second at the water, then tottered forward, gave a jump, and were afloat. The water felt good. Swimming was simple, nothing to it. The water was good to drink. Each baby dipped up a mouthful. Their happy father arched its long, graceful neck around them protectively. Then he set off slowly, with the cygnets following along in a single file, their mother brought up by the rear. Alrighty, we're going to stop reading right there. Here's your video response question. It says, describe the cob. Tell me about his actions, his dialogue, and how the female swan reacts to him. Alright, PCs and have fun with it.